is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Would help if I was unmuted. I do apologise. Right, yeah, sorry. I was saying that I like to have my other screen set up so that I can sort of know that things are working. Obviously, I have the sound down on that, so I can't hear myself. But yeah, the one lot of internet isn't working. I don't really know what's going on. So I was a little worried that, yeah, that I wouldn't be able to go live. But yeah, there seems to be one lot that's actually working okay. Oh my God. I don't understand what's going on. Please tell me, like, have I actually frozen? Because that's what it looks like on my other screen. But on my StreamYard, I'm looking fine. So I'm very confused. Right, I'm fine. Right, cool. Oh dear, so stressful. There we go. I was just going to say we're waiting on Whitney. She's just there. But yeah, so thank you, Maya and Brad, for joining, and anyone else that joins in replay. Love you. I'm going to bring Whitney up. Hey, Whitney, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Doing great. How
Good,
are you doing?
good. There we go. I couldn't hear you very well. You're a bit quiet. Also, oh no, it's my end. But I hope that everyone likes the new layout that I have. I sorted that out the other day.
Yeah, looks good. I like it. It's
Yeah, thank
like
you.
table,
Yeah. Oh right, yeah. Apparently your volume is low.
So, can you hear me
Oh,
better
there we
now?
go. Yeah.
Because my headphones were on backwards.
Oh, there we go. I thought it was that my sound wasn't up properly. There
No,
we
it's
go.
me.
It's all right. It wouldn't be one of my streams if there wasn't something that went on. Fabulous. Well, thank you all for joining. So we've got a really, really interesting one tonight. One that I actually wasn't expecting to be so interesting. So I'm very excited by it. Thank you for Brad for suggesting it. If anyone else has any suggestions for future content, do let us know in the comments after the video, because it's really, this one was really fun actually. I wasn't expecting it. Also, just as a little side note, I was just watching BJ of That Surprise Witness, and she was just covering this new Kanye lawsuit that's come out. I don't know. I have a conspiracy theory. I think it's a ruse against the whole, like away from the whole Diddy stuff. But it's quite interesting because the guy starts out, he was actually working for Kanye's fashion brand, Yeezy. And so it's like this whole thing. He was in charge of growing the cotton and things like that, like cloth sourcing and things. I know, I was like, wow. I was in the chat being like, oh, I'm really excited about this one.
Wow.
Even though I've
Usually
got
they
like my
don't.
conspiracies about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Usually they don't go as far as sourcing the fiber and stuff like that. They just.
Literally.
It's
It
that's
seems,
crazy. That's
yeah,
cool.
like and I mean, like she sort of called it a bit culty, but he was like talking
Yeah.
about like just creating like a sustainable community, sort of like kind of like around like the brand, which I was like, that's quite sort of
That's a
a good
lofty
thing to
goal.
hear,
Yeah. Yeah.
sort of. So
That's
yeah, I
cool.
don't know, like. Then my internet went all funny. So then I haven't been able to like watch the rest. But yeah, so I'll be catching that back. But yeah, it was yeah, really interesting. But yeah, like I said, I have my conspiracies about it, and I
Did
think
you?
it's a stupid lawsuit, to be honest. But
No.
yeah.
Did you? Now, did you hear about the controversy that happened? Man, maybe it was a year or two ago about Balenciaga and that ad campaign.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
the
I want to
Balenciaga.
go into all that at some point.
That would be that would be interesting to look into as
Mm,
well.
yeah,
It's
because yeah,
it's weird.
I have
Yeah.
like words about Balenciaga. I just
Yeah.
think
Me too.
they're ridiculous. So much about them I could
We'll
go
write it
into.
down put it on our list.
Yeah, Balenciaga, just them. Um, but yeah, so that little like side note. So yeah, so tonight's topic is latex. And obviously, sort of, we're talking about law stuff because me and Whitney know each other through the law nerd
Hmm.
community as well as
Yeah.
SPTV. And yeah, and then obviously we joined together on these streams talking about the dark side of fashion.
Hmm.
And also I want to say, as a little premise for videos to come, I have been talking to some of my friends who have got like different businesses, different sort of creative outlets within the sort of sustainable, ethical fashion world. And I have some really, really exciting streams that are going to be coming. One that should hopefully be in a couple of weeks' time, which will be a live upcycle with
Oh,
a friend that I know through like Instagram, but like she lives in London, so she's actually going to come to my
fun.
studio. I'm like so excited. Yeah,
That's
we were like talking
cool.
today about it. So yeah, like fingers crossed it
Nice.
all goes well. Yeah, I kind of want to like set the studio up in a way where we can have like multiple cameras. Um,
Yes. That would
so
be
I might
cool.
like be asking my sister if she can sort of be back of house and kind of sorting out different views. Otherwise I'll just sort of do it myself. But
That's
yeah,
cool. That sounds
I'm
fun.
really, really excited about it. Yeah, because it was so
Yeah.
funny because I literally said to her just about like doing a chat about her upcycling, and she was
Hmm.
like, "Yeah, but like I could, I don't know." She mentioned something about like coming to the studio, and I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't even think about that." So
Yeah.
yeah,
That would
so
be cool. I'd
it
love
was
to
really,
see
really
that
cool.
live.
She's like
Yeah.
totally high energy, so yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Good. That's awesome.
So yeah, so watch this space for yeah, different types of
Coming
videos.
soon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
extra days and everything. So yeah, be really, really cool. Right, fabulous. So oh, did you want to do a little intro of yourself?
Sure. My name is Whitney. Um, I'm a data engineer. I'm an analytic data nerd. I kind of work in tech. So I work in tech, and I also work in tech legal around data privacy and data protection rights and things like that. So I know some of the legal stuff around like the GDPR in Europe, that sort of thing. I'm also a huge fan of SPTV, which is the like former Scientologists kind of network of or community of creators. And on that community, I read legal documents just because I have a background. I don't have a background in law, but I know a lot about law from my history, and I can pronounce the words and kind of make more sense. Sometimes when somebody reads you something, it gives you a little bit more context to how what
Yeah,
it's actually
definitely.
saying. So I like to do that. I recently came through a treatment therapy that was very, very successful. So I'm actively looking for another job with so I'm looking for an analytics data position actively, and I'm looking forward to reading more court cases and documents and motions and filings and stuff from Scientology. Currently on my channel, I'm posting. I do a lot of research in the Internet Archive and also in newspapers.com, old information, factual information, and so I've been posting some of that on my community page, just for some like historical context of how Scientology operates, and they operate like a cult, even inside of the court system as well. So I think that's interesting. I do some community posts on that. So
Yeah, I
that's it.
always like reading those.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nothing to write
I'm a
down.
bit of a nerd, so I consider myself nerdy SPTV, which is like a flavor of SPTV that's a little bit more nerdy. So
Yeah.
I like to represent our nerdy bunch. So
Yeah, definitely. Fabulous. Exciting. Wow. Let's get into latex, baby. Ah, I like that.
I'll watch.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I'm
I've got
kidding.
some interesting photos to show, but yeah. Um, Wonderful. So, right, latex. I'm gonna blow your mind, honestly, because yeah, I'm crazy about what I found. So,
Awesome.
right, so I'm gonna start with climate change, capitalism, and disease are threatening to strike a mortal blow to the world's rubber trees. That's from a quote from a BBC article.
Oh no.
Natural rubber, or let's start that again. Latex is rubber. Rubber comes from trees.
Oh.
Natural rubber is uniquely tough, flexible, and highly waterproof material. Used for tires on cars, soles on shoes, rubber gloves, clothing, and even the elastic band. It's classed as a commodity of such global importance that it's being included on the EU's critical raw materials list.
Oh.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Hmm.
I want that back up.
I wonder if those trees would grow in California.
So you're about to find out where they grow.
Okay.
And also some other ways we can get it. I can't just hey, I thought you girls would dress in latex. No. No, thank you, Brad.
I don't have any on me, but
Yeah.
I have some gloves though. I do have gloves.
Yeah, we could put on marigolds then. Right. Latex is sap from the rubber trees. It's a liquid medium. It's roughly 60% water and 40% rubber, found beneath the bark of a mature rubber tree. So you can see here where they've
Wow.
stripped the bark away. Oh, sorry, I'm losing my camera. And then they put these little cups on there to then catch the sap. It's harvested. The trees have to be 5 years old before they can be harvested. Rubber tree harvesting from rubber tree harvesting of latex from trees has been generations old method that is being passed down from the Indians of Central and South America. They used rubber as early as the 11th century to coat fabric and make into balls. When French scientist Charles de la Condamine visited South America during the 1700s, it was only then that samples were sent over to Europe.
So it's interesting that rubber naturally was only found in the Americas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
interesting. So it was used by the native peoples of the Americas long before the European uses
yeah,
came.
exactly.
Wow, that is interesting. I didn't realize that. Hmm.
British chemist Joseph Priestley gave rubber its English name in about 1770. The modern uses for rubber was discovered in 1818 by British medical student named James Sim. He used it to waterproof cloth in order to make the first raincoats. And this process was then patented in 1823 by Charles Mackintosh for the Macintosh Rainmax. During this
Oh,
time, Michael Faraday discovered that natural rubber is composed of units of a chemical compound called isoprene.
hmm.
Literally, it's like every little bit I was like finding, I was like, oh really? Oh really? It's
No
like this.
kidding. Wow.
I'm really excited about this. Um, so the tree species is Heva brassiliarius, I think is how you say it. Brassiliarius.
Hmm.
Um, it's native to South America in the Amazon, and um, and is also now found in
Hmm.
Southeast Asian plantations as well. Countries such as Singapore, Malaysia, Sri Lanka um, make up 85% of the global supply.
Wow. Wow.
Seeds were taken from Brazil and
Hmm.
germinated in England to then be planted in those countries.
Oh,
I know.
interesting. That's, I guess, some colonialism there, right?
Yeah.
Some
Well,
effects of the,
that
yeah.
yeah, that and like it's sort of like the starts of like
Yes.
capitalism when it's sort of, well, we've found this, how can we, sort of
Yeah,
make
how
more
can
of it?
we, yeah, how can we utilize it and well, it sounded like they found uses for it right away, right? Um,
Yeah.
when it was found. And it is such a unique thing. It is a very unique substance, right? It's not like
Yeah.
maple syrup, sap, or anything like that. It's very
No,
unique.
exactly. Yeah, like to use it and be like, oh, I know that all waterproof,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Um, so let me go back to these. So harvesting via ducts that allow the latex to flow into large cups until it is appropriately tapped. Now, because these are like sort of native people, where the methods are sort of passed down through generations, I presume sort of they understand when a tree is appropriately
Hmm.
tapped. I couldn't find any information on how to know
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But I think obviously that's always the difference between native and then sort of plantation.
Oh, yeah.
Because I did find some little bits that I didn't quite go into so much depth, but it did say that one of the reasons why sort of one of the downsides to the plantations is actually that they are running out of rubber. So I presume that
Mm.
there is a point where you have like harvested enough and don't sort of go beyond that,
Oh, I
because
see.
you want like the
Hmm.
tree to be able to still replenish itself. It probably still needs like some obviously
Yes.
sapping into the tree, whereas I can imagine the plantation workers won't know those sort of, won't have that knowledge passed down, so
Yeah.
they will just sort of take the tree for all it's worth, and then obviously
Yeah.
if then it dies or something, they've got to wait another 5 years for another one to grow.
Yeah. So really what they
But yeah,
did
I
is
didn't quite
they
go into that.
overutilized that tree and it just stuck. It gets to a point where it cannot produce rubber anymore.
Yeah,
Is that right?
exactly. Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't, like I say, I didn't quite go into that, so I can't
Mm.
say for sure, but I can imagine it's something like that.
Yeah.
Um, Acid is added to the latex sap. Let me just see, 'cause I can't remember what my next thing was. There we go. Acid is added to the latex sap, which causes it to clump. These clumps are then rolled into sheets in a mill, which removes the water, and the sheets of latex are dried and smoked.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Look at that.
so
Amazing.
they're just like sort of different forms of molding, which I will go
Yeah.
into more detail. So there we go. So that's it being dried. Um, the
So is
latex
that
is
the,
then, oh, sorry,
oh, I'm sorry. Is that the natural? So that would be the
this
natural
is the
color.
natural. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
The latex is then pre-vulcanized. This involves a chemical treatment and gentle heating at low temperatures. This makes the material more convenient to transport. With more heat in the rubber, latex material can now be made into regular rubber, and therefore then obviously sort of used in different products.
Mm.
And it's the chemicals used within this process that then causes the allergic reaction that people often have to latex.
Oh, no
Yeah,
kidding. It's
yeah,
not
not
the latex itself, it's the
no
chemical.
chemicals. Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow.
Mm. Lovely. So that is natural latex. Then we go on to synthetic latex. Not all latex is naturally occurring. Some is
Hmm.
synthetic and composed of petroleum, which is oil,
Hmm.
based chemicals. These chemicals are used to create synthetic rubber polymers, and again, these are clumped and dried as the process before.
Hmm.
Um, Common processing techniques are extrusion, which is heat and compression and vulcanization, injection molding, which is a bit like this one that's showing on the screen, which is high pressure, compression molding, compression and vulcanization, latex dripping, which is for the latex gloves,
Mm.
um, which is for specialized shapes and hollow products such as gloves and balloons.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's all I have on synthetic.
That's cool.
This is the more, oh, actually, I just realized that's actually embroidery. You know what, it was so hard to find images of like latex going through a factory. And I thought this was maybe latex, but actually I don't think it is, because, and I believe they're actually on embroidery machines. That's really
It does
disappointing.
look
But
a
this is,
little bit like latex, yeah.
it did a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It's
Mhm.
so hard to tell because, like, yeah, it was like bringing up sort of all those like happy factory workers, and I was like, yeah, I know that they're not actually happy.
Right.
But also, they were just like sewing cotton and things like that.
Mm.
But this is latex fabric that is on the screen.
Wow.
So there are natural alternatives to the synthetic and the original natural rubber latex. The areas where rubber trees are found are a high natural disaster site and of political instability. So there's often the workers, like sort of in the transportation of the latex, can't go between borders and things like that. So this threatens the availability of the latex material and gives it a fragile supply chain. The tire industry is focusing its efforts in the guayule and Russian dandelion alternatives. Russian dandelion plant, I should say.
Wow.
So guayule, and I apologize if I am saying that right, if I'm saying that wrong, which I may well be, is a woody shrub that grows naturally in the southwestern United States and northern Mexico. Harvesting is after 2 years of growth, and research into that has been going on since 2010. And then the Russian dandelion is native to Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, and was used in World War II by the USSR, or 30% was used in World War II. Today it's used by Continental Tires for bikes and trucks. And a female scientist of all the males that we've heard of, Katrina Cornish and her colleagues are developing hydroponics and vertical farms to help make dandelion rubber a commercial reality. Sap from the roots of this plant can be harvested 5 times a year.
That's
so
good.
Yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. But my honestly, like, I was going so deep into the research that I sort of hit a point and I was like, oh, if I was gonna do sort of too much with it.
There's so many rabbit holes, right, that you could like follow down.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then I just got some images as well of sort of how you would make up like sort of put together a garment that was made of latex rubber, and you actually use glue rather than sewing it. And then this little wheel, you would sort of run over the seams to flatten them. And I found some kind of interesting, nice garments that are not bondage.
Yeah, they don't look typical, right? They don't have that high shine
Yeah,
to them, which
exactly.
is nice. Yeah. Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at those
And
dresses.
then
Wow.
the sort of deep diving wetsuit as well. And oh, there we go. That's the end of them. Yeah, so I just thought, sort of, particularly these two are sort of interesting high fashion ones. But yeah, so it
That's
just shows
amazing.
that latex is sort of can be kind of high fashion, doesn't need to be yeah, as sordid as what some people might think.
Right.
Um,
And it
so yeah.
has now most latex that I have seen has I don't know if you've ever seen this. It has like kind of almost a fabric backing on it, or a like something to keep it for the wrong side against the skin.
Yeah,
Is that,
exactly.
yeah?
Yeah,
Because
I couldn't tell because I always thought that was like the synthetic rubber,
yeah.
synthetic latex, but I
Hmm.
couldn't see anything to say if that was or wasn't. So I
Hmm.
wonder if that is to keep it away from the skin, so then people don't have such a reaction to it. Also,
Mm, that could be.
probably so then it's easier to put on.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, it kind
Um,
of slides past the skin better, easier. Yeah.
yeah, because
Hmm.
I found like a whole article which like I didn't go into because I felt like this was going to go on for like so long. And actually seeing the time, it's not gone on for too long, but still, it's sort of yeah, it was like about washing latex
Oh,
and like
yeah.
putting latex on and things like that. So yeah, um, talks about lube and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think what's interesting is latex can be treated or made just like a fabric, right? It can be worn.
mm,
It can be, you saw those dresses. It can definitely be composed into a three-dimensional shape very nicely, but it's not a typical fabric that you would be able to sew and things like that. It's almost very similar to the ballistics material presentation that we gave earlier, right? About Kevlar and how you just can't, it's so tough that you just can't even sew it. You have to
mm,
bind it. You have to actually melt it together or bind it together, those polymers. But it's, I, I don't know. It's fascinating,
yeah.
these
Yeah, so that's
materials
when
and
like it was
yeah.
saying about sort of heating it again.
Hmm.
Yeah, to sort of kind of get any shape, like particular
Yeah.
shaping that you want. Yeah, and I presume sort of in that then if it is like sort of onto like a fabric backing,
Yeah.
yeah, then they would sort of do that in that process as well.
Well, you couldn't make a mistake when you were making one of those dresses, right?
No, exactly. Yeah, it's like yeah, I made a leather jacket and a suede shirt when I was at uni,
Mhm.
and the jacket I was so scared to do, so I paid someone to make that for me. But the shirt I
Mhm.
made,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like sort of if you're going to stitch on it, then you've only got one go, so you
Right.
got to get it right. So but I glued like all the seams down first,
Mhm.
and I can't remember if I did actually sew anything on that. I think I did like the collar and the cuffs,
Mhm.
because they were in a different material. But yeah, it's very kind of interesting when you have to kind of work with those sorts of things. Like,
Yeah.
I get a lot of people asking me sort of what's the most difficult fabrics to use.
Mhm.
And, obviously sort of a lot of people like, presume that silk is,
Mhm.
but a lot of people don't expect me to say leathers and things.
Yeah.
But it's because, you've got to get it sort of right the first
Yeah.
time. Um, yeah, because then they like sort of they straight away go to jerseys and things, because
Mhm.
obviously with that you've got like the stretchiness, which
Yes.
can be sort of difficult, but
Mhm.
it's not the most difficult really.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think that it would be hard to design um, latex garments, right? Because
Yeah,
you just I guess I think more about draping on a mannequin and it would be difficult to do that with latex. You really couldn't just kind of like drape something and then pin it and look at it and then, it's a little less forgiving to do stuff like that, right? So you'd really need to have who was going to be wearing that outfit
yeah,
measured
like
very
envision
well.
and just make it. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I suppose
interesting.
sort of like they would have kind of meters of it to be able to kind of drape
Yes.
around a mannequin to see how it flows. But
Hmm.
yeah, sort of it doesn't typically obviously sort of like with this image, we can see like the
Hmm.
two sort of contrasts of like the one with the yellow, that even though she's
Yeah.
holding it up, you know, I can
Yeah.
imagine that will be quite a stiff material,
Yes.
versus then the one in the green, which is a lot flowier.
Yeah. The drape on the green
Um,
one is insane. That's gorgeous. Yeah.
exactly. Um, so
But
yes,
look at
and
how
also,
tailored her arms are, so tailored through that almost,
yeah,
that would be a very difficult dress to make.
definitely,
But yeah.
definitely. Yeah, like you don't want to be changing shapes when halfway through someone making that for you.
No, no.
Um, but what I was going to say, oh, and sort of you can kind of tell, so I can imagine that the green one, because it's got the drape, will
Yeah.
be a thinner material,
Yes.
versus
Hmm.
again the one on the yellow will probably be a thicker one.
Hmm.
Um,
The
yeah,
yellow one is pretty amazing too, because in that whole half circle, I don't see any seaming.
no, so this, I reckon this has been molded
Oh,
to be that shape.
interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. So you know, sort of this could be like that sort of um drip molding,
Interesting.
as with
Hmm.
sort of the gloves, but yeah, potentially like a thicker material. Um, but you know, I could be wrong, and then maybe that's why she's holding it, because maybe it is thinner,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
then it would sort of, it would flow. So yeah, interesting.
It is. It's cool.
Oh yeah, Brad's saying custom sizing is very common,
Hmm.
which I can imagine. And that with like sort of the fetish stuff, that it is usually the latex on the skin, which yeah, the one of the articles that I saw about putting it on, and they were talking about using powder.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. That's what I've heard too. To They just put it's kind of like when you put on a latex glove, right? There's a little bit of that powder inside of it to make it easier to go
yeah,
onto your hand. Um,
exactly.
Same sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah. And I like Joe said that the one on the yellow one made her think of cheese with the
Cheese
holes.
with the holes.
No, it
Yes.
doesn't make you
She,
feel like a mean it doesn't
she
mean that
looked
you're a
Swiss
bad
in that
person,
dress.
because that's what I was thinking. Yes.
Uh,
Dear. Fabulous. Well, I don't know if anyone has any questions in the chat. I haven't seen any pop by. Um, but yeah, I just thought it was like a really interesting yeah, sort of like turnaround of kind of where things were going
right. Hmm.
with it. Oh, you know what? And I've just realised, did I? No, no, no. I did read that one out. That's fine. I was worried that I just skipped some notes. Um, yeah, yeah, I found it really interesting how it sort of uh you know, sort of kind of went from, you know, sort of in my research being like it's made for tires and
Right.
sort of
Very
shoes,
commercial.
yeah, into like sort of literally the article that I read just before coming on was talking about the Macintosh, because I was like, you know, it must be you guys sort of like linked to that in some way, like, you know, waterproofing on coats,
Yes.
because I saw there was like a Behind the Factory or something like that, a program that the BBC did ages ago, and it was on the Barber jackets and their
Oh,
waxing of their jackets
yeah.
um,
Like the
for the waterproof.
oilcloth, or what did they used to call
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
yeah, all across.
Wax
Um,
cloth. Yeah.
and yeah, so I thought that was yeah, so I always kind of, yeah, sort of knew that that was kind of like a, yeah, sort of wax um
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and things like that. but yeah, never quite realized that rubber would be used in that way as well. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Yeah, and Brad thought I thought it was all oil based as well. I honestly thought latex was oil based. Had no idea. No, as
Yeah.
soon as it was
I
literally
did
like
too. Yeah.
the first article that I read said it was actually a website to buy clothing, like latex clothing.
Hmm.
And in the thing it said like 100% natural rubber. And I was like, sorry? I was like, you
Wow.
like greenwashing me now. And
Wow.
then I like pulled up some other articles. Yeah, and I was just like, wow.
That's
So and
cool.
I had to really dig to find the synthetic stuff actually. It was quite interesting.
Oh,
Like,
wow. Yeah.
yeah.
I would think that the natural what substance? It's not even a fiber, right? So the natural
Yeah,
substance would
exactly.
be better,
Substance,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maya knew it came from trees. You are very smart, Maya. Well done.
Yeah, Maya.
She says it's a very versatile fabric. It
Fabric,
is.
yes.
Sort of yeah, what else can you get? Rubber bands,
Yeah,
shoe soles, and clothing, it's sort of like it's
super
clothing.
flexible. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that the early Americans or the early American, North South Americans that were here using rubber were using it for things like bowls. And,
Yeah.
that's really interesting to kind of almost make a surface that was, uh,
Oh, sorry, not
yeah.
bowls, balls,
Oh, balls.
like rubber
Yes.
balls.
Okay. That reminds me of the
um
movie Apocalypto.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, like, sort of for the fact that they were even using it in like to coat clothing,
Yeah.
like to make it obviously waterproof,
Waterproof. That's
in
amazing.
the
Hmm.
yeah, what was it, 11th century. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
crazy, sort of like so yeah, it'd be interesting to see like where if there's like any that are preserved or anything, because yeah, again,
Mm.
nothing came up with images of that. Every time I tried to literally just find images of stuff, it was yeah, just bringing up British wear, which
Oh,
nothing against
yeah.
that, but it's like when you're trying to do certain research, it's
Yeah.
yeah, one of
I
those.
always have to put history or like if I'm researching silk,
Oh
if I
yeah.
don't want to get flooded with like stuff to buy, I have to like
Yeah.
the history of silk, not that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
exactly.
You
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
put
yeah.
qualifiers in there to get
Yeah,
past
it's like
the
where does
buying.
silk come from? It's like
Exactly.
find on this side. Ah,
Oh, the internet.
yeah, exactly. Oh, and May is saying, didn't they have a game with the ball?
Yes,
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I
they did.
didn't again. I didn't find anything that necessarily
Hmm.
said exactly what they would use the ball for. But like it said that like football was invented in England, but I can imagine, if he went over and saw these like native
Yeah.
Indians with with balls and and probably kicking them about or whatever,
Yeah,
then it probably sparked something and then brought
that
it
would have
over. I
been
don't
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know the history of football as to like when that sort of first came out. So yeah, it'd be interesting if that sort of overlap.
Maybe we should do a reenactment of like the first European white man to see a ball and be
Yeah.
like, and that like football, basketball, baseball. It's all started from there.
Yeah,
Cricket.
exactly.
Oh, soccer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I know that I
So
have seen, I can't tell you if this is real or not. I probably saw it in a movie, but there was a depiction or historical depiction of something of a game that ancient Mayans or ancient Aztecs would play, that used a ball. And I think it was like a game to the death type of thing, where
Mm,
the losing team was then sacrificed on an altar someplace. But that could
right.
have been a movie. Don't take my word for
Yeah.
that. But I do know that in ancient times that they did play those sports and games and things like that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, Brad's saying didn't they used to kick around just over head?
yeah,
I don't know,
that I've
like
heard as well.
maybe.
I've
Yeah,
heard
it's
that as
sort
well,
of
though. Yeah,
it's so hard. But yeah,
yeah,
sort of like obviously there's things like sort of, like the Gladiator movie, although it's sort of like a
yeah,
film, that was kind of like a thing in sort of
yes.
Rome, that kind of fight to the death kind of thing. So yeah, I can
Hmm.
imagine that, yeah, sort of like they didn't have TVs back then. So
Yeah.
unfortunately they liked blood and gore. So
Well, they only knew what they knew, right? And then when they saw a
yeah,
ball, all those guys were just like, "Oh my God, sports."
exactly. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm just giving
All
guys
you
that like
men.
sports a hard time. Sorry, I'll be quiet now.
Definitely, definitely. But yeah, so that was today's topic. So
That was so interesting. I had
thanks so much
no
for
idea that latex was not a purely synthetic thing.
I
I
know.
had no idea. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, it's literally like blew my mind. I just can't even fathom, sort of like how I didn't know
Yeah,
this before.
that's
So yeah,
cool.
there we go. And and what I really like about it is that actually they've got the synthetic version, but they are, sort of like, big tire companies are trying to
Yeah,
find natural alternatives,
yeah.
even to the synthetic.
The
So,
natural, that seems to be the thing, right? The natural version, like the natural version of silk is better than the
mm,
synthetic version of
yeah,
bamboo silk or whatever, right? And I think the same is true here too, right? That whatever
mm,
natural property that rubber has, they want it for their tires for whatever reason,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
So
exactly.
it's interesting.
Um, yeah, really, really interesting. Oh, Maya said she's been watching ancient ancestors on the History Channel.
Oh, Lord. Yes. I love watching that show, but
Yeah,
I like to laugh about it a little bit, but then sometimes I'm like, "Oh, that is
yeah,
interesting."
it brings up something.
But
Uh,
I tend to think that our ancestors were much, much more intelligent and with it and adaptable and flexible to their environments than we give them credit for. So
oh yeah, yeah,
I think they
definitely,
were a lot
definitely.
smarter. Yeah. But
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing because, sort of they knew how to live in harmony,
yeah.
sort of with like the world around them and other
Hmm.
people, so it's
They had to make use of what they had, and they
yeah.
did a great,
Whereas
awesome job. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, exactly. Whereas like we've become so um sort of embedded with um over like sort of overconsumption,
Yeah.
more
Hmm.
demand and things like that, that I think like as a whole we've kind of sort of lost our way with sort of
Hmm.
how to do with that. And obviously there's many of us that are, sort of going back to that, but it still takes time because there's still a lot of processes and things that sort of are ingrained in
Yeah.
yeah, sort of a wider
People don't
part of
like to
it really.
change what they're doing, right? And even if
Mm,
it's for a good thing. So change is hard, but we just keep trying to inform people, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, this is
Oh, so
great. I love it.
I just thought Brad saying, can we do lycra and spandex next? we will
Yeah.
we'll do them down the road. Feel like I need to get away
Well,
from all
remember
that for a while.
Stephanie. Remember Stephanie who invented. She worked for, who was it, DuPont or somebody like that, and
Oh
she
yeah, yeah.
invented. Well, she also had a hand in spandex. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah,
Oh
she. So we can
yeah.
learn about Stephanie
There
and
we go.
the chemist again with
Yeah.
spandex, which revolutionized the
Spandex knickers.
aerobics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Oh,
aerobics
oh my
forever.
God, Mr. Motivator, we need to bring him up. I don't know if you guys had him in America, but
I
he was
know what you're
very big
saying.
here.
I know what you mean. Oh,
Ah.
excuse me. I'm snorting.
That's all right, that's all right.
Don't make me
Oh, and
laugh.
May says, should we start dressing more natural? So latex neck.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a
whatever floats your
progression.
boat. I showed some very nice fashionable latex pieces. So
Yeah,
yes, definitely do go dressing in those. Um, um, but how they found out that rubber could be used from the trees, it's nuts.
yeah,
Exactly, just like the silk. Like, I don't
it
know,
is crazy.
sort of, because for the fact that the Indians back then were using it to coat the fabric, like how, yeah, what did they like brush up against it? But then,
Yeah,
yeah, like, I don't
all
know, they
happy
put
accidents, and they're like, "Hey, we can just
literally,
coat this and then go out in the rain." Like,
yeah,
yeah,
or did it form into a ball first and then it was bouncing around?
yeah,
I
yeah,
honestly, like, what, if I could go, if there was time travel, that is what I would do. I would just go back just to ask those little questions or just to view it, sort of, and
yeah,
just be like, oh,
yeah.
because
I want to
like we
see the.
have
Yeah,
we have
I,
like gravity, like sort of, what was it? Isn't that the apple
Newton.
actually?
Yes.
It's not real or something. But anyway, like sort of we have like the fundamentals of like how that like gravity was I was gonna say invented.
Invented. Exactly. Discovered.
If only. If only, yeah, because
Uh,
we float around really. They're fooling you with that gravity thing.
and you have
Um,
to realize that Newton was not the first person to see something fall from a tree, right? Because we had
exactly.
our silk queen, right? She
Yeah,
saw a cocoon fall from a tree into her tea, and now we have silk. It's
yeah,
pretty amazing. All that gravity is making people realize things all
yeah,
over the
exactly.
place.
And then someone just went, "Oh yes, let's call it gravity."
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're all laughing at me. Who invented gravity? Exactly.
It's
I did.
funny.
I did. Um, but sort of like like the telephone, sort of like kind of like all these like actual, we know how like these things were found out about, were invented, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, silk was used in this way and
Yeah.
rubber was used in it. It's just that it's so
And
crazy,
silk
sort
was
of.
used like 5,000, 6,000 years ago. I'm sure they were using rubber back then too, but it was probably only like one or two people,
Yeah,
in Brazil
exactly.
someplace, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
that's the thing, and they're just going around going like, oh yeah, we just, I don't
look at
know.
what we did. I wish we could tell people about
I
this.
can't, I'm imagining them on the like, what's it, space hoppers,
Yes.
just bouncing around,
Yeah. Bling, bling. This is
I
great.
think they they should be, they should be enjoying
Yes.
it. So, but they'd probably like use it in some, obviously useful way.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe it was like sort of they have it as the fabric and the balls, but maybe it was that they did like a slingshot, to
Oh,
like hunt
yeah.
with. That's what I'm kind of thinking is, because obviously that's where we got um you know hunting, spears and
Yeah.
that for hunting and such things.
Yeah. A
um
tool for and a weapon and
yeah,
stuff. That's great.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like how fire was started through uh
Yeah.
the yeah, I mean, I don't know,
Somebody started
rubbing
fire.
some rocks together, but
I know.
It's like a gig. It's just like, how did you think about it? But it's sort of, I don't know, craziness. The wheel, all these sort of things.
I know.
Hello, Hans. Good
Hey, Hans.
evening. Welcome. By the way, I hope that everyone has liked this stream, please. Thank you very much.
Thanks everybody for coming. We appreciate it.
Brad says, I expect that the raw rubber leaked out of a tree and locals found it and thought it would be useful. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, sort of, why did, like, what did they pick it up and then they just like wiped it on their sleeve and went out in the rain, like sort of, it's just like all these kind of things, like what was the process of like everything sort of connecting together to then become, because for the fact that they were already using it as that. It wasn't when this European guy went over there and brought it back that then he was like, oh, some scientists looked into it and was like, oh, we can use it like this. Like they were already doing that.
Yes. He just the Europeans just found ways to productionize it and then utilize it, right? In bigger.
Exactly.
But it was being used and it was already discovered in these local ways. So it is annoying to when somebody pops up and says, "Oh, I discovered light." No. We all kind of know what light is, but maybe we don't understand it. So you can describe it. You didn't discover it, though.
Exactly. So I don't know. But so thank you, Whitney, for being here with me. Thank you, everyone else,
Claire.
for watching. I hope that everyone else found this really useful. And
it was very surprising.
Exactly.
It was good. It was very good.
Yeah, May just says, I hate that we can't find out how it was started. Yeah, exactly. But in that sort of sometimes like the mystery to these things, I like to think of it as Whitney discovered light. This is our cult. We reinvent things.
Claire got gravity, or Claire got gravity. I got light.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Win some, you lose some. But yeah, what was I going to say? That sort of, I think it's just nice to remember that sort of our ancestors, sort of those who were on the earth before us, were a lot more resourceful, intelligent, and things like that than sadly sort of we will ever necessarily sort of give them credit for. But they have foreseen us a lot of useful things. So very, very good. But so thank you all for joining. Right, so we both win today, gravity and light. Exactly.
Yes.
Gravity and light and rubber,
Yeah.
What else can we what else can we wish for? And so I will see everyone on what are we today? Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think I was going to do a live in the morning, but I can't remember. If my schedule is still free, then I may well be doing a work along with me in the studio.
Oh, good. I love those.
But potentially I've got a class, so don't hold me to that. Just like if it's up there, then you can watch me. But I am going to be in my studio like all day on Saturday, so I may well do like 2 or 3 on that day. Just at sort of different intervals, because I've got so much work that I need to catch up on. I had another hospital appointment yesterday, my pre-op before my my surgery coming up in a couple of weeks, which was quite interesting. I had to have my blood test and everything else tested. So so that's all cool. And so sadly that took me out like another day, and Friday I've got something going on, so that's my day off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just like, you know, I don't really need to have more days off. I actually need to have more days in my studio. So yeah, do join me on Saturday at whatever time you wake up.
Okay.
I will likely be live. But yeah, and yeah, that's all I've really got to say. Whitney,
good
I
to see you.
will chat with you a little bit afterwards because I've got something I want to share with you.
Okay.
And everyone
It's great
else,
to see
we
everybody.
will see you later.
Bye.
And replay crew, don't forget to like and leave like comments in the comment section of anything you want us to cover. See you later.